So Gibby is one of the most iconic legends in this game. He's also one of the most annoying legends to play against, but that's a different video. But he's always been a pretty solid legend for the past couple of seasons. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of people play Gibby and people also love to play Gibby as well. So for all of you Gibby mains out there, we have some very good news because Gibby is getting his very own heirloom very soon. But because there's always some kind of catch, right? Based on the response to this heirloom so far, it might just end up being a little disappointing. So we're going to be talking about Gibby's heirloom in today's video. Shout out to Bias12 and also shout out to someone who leaks for giving us this information. And yeah, it's always interesting when we kind of like get information about upcoming heirlooms in this game, because it's really nice to see, you know, what legends Respawn really wants to see have heirlooms. Because you know what, I'll talk a bit more about this as the video goes on, but Gibby was not actually supposed to be the legend this season getting his own heirloom. It was actually supposed to be Bangalore, but we'll talk more about that in today's video. If you guys are excited about this video, stop what you're doing right now and click that like button. I'd appreciate it very much. And also, if you're new to the channel, click that sub button as well. Every single sub helps. We're on the road to 50k subs, so I'd appreciate any bit of support I can get. But with that said, let's talk about Gibby. So first things first, right? For you guys who really want to see what Gibby's heirloom looks like, here it is. This is what Gibby's heirloom would look like based on early leaks and based on this render by someone who leaks. Now honestly, to me, it doesn't look that bad. Like, it isn't a terrible heirloom. It just doesn't really fit Gibby in my eyes, you know. It's also really small, especially when Gibby is such a big legend. You would expect him to have, like, you know, a big heirloom as well. But that's just my opinions. That's just my thoughts. This is most likely what Gibby's heirloom would actually look like when it does come in season 7. So before I go on with this video, right, what do you guys currently think of Gibby's heirloom? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's just not really, you know, fitting? Do you think that this is a good heirloom for a legend like Gibby? Let me know. I actually put up a post on YouTube and most of you guys kind of like shared the same feelings as me when it comes to how this heirloom actually looks. It just doesn't really feel like it actually fits Gibby as a legend, which is kind of, you know, disappointing. But it does look okay. It's not terrible. It just doesn't look like what I expect a Gibby heirloom to look like. It's obviously some kind of war club, which I guess kind of makes sense. But looking at somebody like Caustic, you know, who has a death armor, which is actually a very good heirloom, or even Mirage, you know, who has a statue of himself. I think we've seen, you know, this type of heirloom before. Like when Respawn first showed us Octane's heirloom, I was also kind of disappointed because it's just a very boring idea to me, and I feel the exact same way about this Gibby heirloom. We've seen this type of heirloom before and it just doesn't look, you know, impressive to me. But it still could change. This is obviously just a leak. Respawn could try to be like, you know, trolling us now. We don't know. So take all of this with a grain of salt. We don't know for sure if this would actually end up being Gibby's heirloom in this season. So we'll see what Respawn decides to do. Now moving on from Gibby, right? Bangalore, as I said, was actually supposed to get her heirloom in this season. So what happened to Bangalore's heirloom? Why did Respawn actually replace that with Gibby's heirloom? If you guys could remember back in season 6 when there were talks about Bangalore's heirloom being, you know, released in this season, it was initially something called a tonfa, which is kind of like a martial arts weapon, right? The issue with that back then was that it kind of resembled a police baton, and during that time, because police brutality was understandably a very big issue back then, Respawn decided to change Bangalore's initial heirloom and give us some sort of like knife or cutlass or something like that, some kind of military, you know, weapon. So when the community actually saw what Respawn decided to replace Bangalore's initial heirloom with, it was a very big backlash because no one honestly liked what Respawn had did. So my guess is because of what took place last season, Bangalore's heirloom could have been delayed or just pushed back to possibly even season 8. We could even see it in season 9 because Watson's heirloom was actually carded for season 8, so we don't know what will take place. But based on what's taking place with Gibby's heirloom, they have decided to replace it and delay Bangalore's heirloom. Now I have my own personal thoughts on Respawn actually replacing Bangalore's tonfa with this military weapon. From a business standpoint, it makes complete sense. You guys really might not even see why Respawn would do that, but it does make sense from a business standpoint, and that's fine. It just kind of sucks that Bangalore is always kind of like the disregarded legend in this game. Bangalore really doesn't get any love, and for all of you Bangalore mains, honestly, I kind of feel a bit sorry. I kind of feel bad for you guys because Bangalore needs to get more love in this game for sure. Alright, so let's refresh. In Season 7, we have Gibby's Heirloom, which right now is kind of disappointing, but Respawn could very well decide to change it. We don't know. In Season 8, we can either get Bangalore's Heirloom or Watson's Heirloom. I actually would love to see a Watson Heirloom because Watson is, I think like Respawn could have a really good idea for Watson's Heirloom, but that's just my thoughts. And in Season 9, we most likely will get a Bangalore Heirloom or Watson Heirloom again. It just depends on the sequence of when or how Respawn decides to roll out these heirlooms, but we'll see. So all Gibby mains out there, rejoice, you have an heirloom coming this season. The question is, will it be a good heirloom? That's the big question right here, and we'll see what Respawn actually does with Gibby's Heirloom. That's it for me today, guys. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Look out for some more amazing videos coming this week as always, and I'll see you guys in some more Apex. Till next time.